Good evening and welcome to the Pain Lair. Tonight I'm really excited to talk to you and tell you a story. A very important story to me from a time in my life and from an event in my life that changed me forever and led me to where I am right this second and created the person that is and has become myself or Max Payne. I was always that kid who imitated Monty Python. You know what I mean? Excuse me, I've got a complaint to register. I bought this pellet here not more than half an hour ago, got him home, and found that the only reason he was still on his perch was because he was nailed there. And I could do that from the time I was very, very young. I used to imitate John Wayne. I was always the class clown. I wanted to make everybody laugh. I took drama in school. I am that guy. But when I hit puberty, I changed into a different guy. I changed into athletic Daryl Peterson guy who wanted more than anything on this planet to succeed in athletics. And so I wanted to play football like there was nobody's business. And that's all that mattered to me was playing football. And luckily, when I was a sophomore a freshman, I would have actually been 8th grade, the football coach, I'd already wrestled in little kids programs in junior high school, and I hated it. So all I wanted to do was play football. But the football coach at the time, who I loved, his name was Paul Gillespie, said to me, "Yeah, Pete, if you ain't going to wrestle, you ain't going to play football," because they wanted you to be in athletics all the time. That's what made you strong. So I did. I swam. I threw the shot put. I threw the discus. I played football. I played basketball, and I wrestled. And I just did everything in school. And when I was 14 years old, I was having fun on my motorcycle, and I crashed right by my house and destroyed my left leg. And I thought my athletic career was over. And I will tell the story about when I destroyed my leg at another time, because it's going to be way too time consuming to tell you that whole part of the story. But the surgery that I had when I was 14 years old on my knee almost killed me. And I wasn't prepared for how brutal the recovery was going to be. And I remember at 14, the things I went through just to recover. And the coach that had inspired me to play football has now left and decided to go on to greener pastures, and now Pleasant Grove High School has a new football coach. His name's Bill Kelly. He is 5'0". He's from the deep south, and he is bound and determined to run the baby fat off this 14-year-old kid who is absolutely eye deep in rebellion and F you to everybody on the planet. My mother had raised me independent, and by God, I was going to be independent. And I tried to win this guy's heart so badly, and all he wanted to do was belittle me and tell my mother what a piece of crap I was. In fact, he told me right in front of my face and in front of my mother I would never succeed in athletics ever again as long as I lived. And that was enough to light a fuse inside of me. And I remember rehabilitating and getting ready to go back to wrestling. And I did everything I could to be ready so that when I started my junior year, there was no doubt I was going to be a state champion that year. And so midway through my junior year in high school, as soon as wrestling started, I was undefeated at Christmas time. Nobody had even come close to me. I pinned everybody in the first period. I had a record. I don't know what it is. My friend Nathan would gladly tell you that. But I was just infatuated with wrestling because I was doing very good at it. And at that time there was voice that there was a wrestling movie that was coming to Pleasant Grove, and I'm like, I don't care. I avoided the movie. I avoided it because I was going to be a state champion and prove that little son of a bitch from the South wrong, come hell or high water. And the universe didn't quite see my idea that way. They actually came and passed around a list, and I didn't sign up. And one day, my mother was making tacos. It was a Sunday, actually. And I was on my way. She'd given me money. They'd sent me down to this place called H's, which was an old fruit stand that served as a grocery store back in the day. This was 45 years ago. And I found it a great opportunity to partake of a little of the, And so I'm driving, and all of a sudden I see this car coming at me. It's my father in this Lincoln. It looks like, a ship on the ocean. He's doing like 90 miles an hour, and he slams on his brakes, slides sideways next to me, and he says, "Get back to the house. There's an agent there. They want to talk to you." And I go there. Her name was Shirley Goodman, and she said, "Look, they need somebody desperately, so they're literally doing a house-to-house search. Will you please go try out for this movie?" And I said, "Well, okay, but what about wrestling?" And she said, "I already got Coach Henry's approval." So, okay. So I did. And I went and tried out for this movie. And to make a long story short, I got the part. And it wasn't just a bit part. It's a major role. And at the time would have been a major Hollywood production. It probably cost $1 million to make this movie at the time, which by today's standard would have been $10 or $20 million. And then on top of that, it was done in Utah, and it was all hometown stuff. They were going to use the guy that was the Johnny Depp counterpart from 21 Jump Street for the part, and at the last minute, he had to cancel for whatever reason. So they were desperately looking for somebody to fill that role. He was 5'11", 180 pounds. I was 6'5", 290 pounds when I walked through the door. For some reason, the director decided I was the guy. Probably because they were down to the last moment and I looked coachable, and for whatever reason, he gave me the job. And he said to me at the time, if you had to make a choice between making $1,000 a week for 10 weeks or wrestling in high school, which would you choose? And I said, right now, I would choose wrestling in high school. And he looked at me, he said, what if I can give you both? And I said, then I'm in. He said, you got both. Now, that's a whole nother story. I'll tell all those details someday. But I want to tell a story now. I want to switch. So I got the part. I'm in the movie. It's the most amazing thing I've ever been involved with. It is the voice in my head to this day that drives my heels and why I'm talking to you right now. Because I've always loved doing this. Always loved it. From the moment I stepped on the takedown set, I was just immediately enamored with making movies, man. It is so amazing. And I was that guy, back there behind the scene going, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? What's that thing called when you spin that deal? How come the camera moves on that track like that? What's that thing called? And finally one day the director of photography, didn't go to lunch. He said, I'm not going to go to lunch today. I want to stay and hang out with you. I want to show you everything. And I said, oh my God, really? And he said, oh, yes. His name was Reed Smoot, and he had a tremendous impact on my life. And you won't believe the connection. Down the road, I'm going to tell you about Reed Smoot to my own family. A very personal, deep, historical connection that he and I realized we had when I graduated from college and went and asked his advice what I should do. And I'll tell that story another day as well. But The movie taught me so many wonderful things, but the greatest lesson it taught me is this. The night of the last night before shooting, my friend from the movie, his name was Nicholas Bovey. I think he's still alive. I hope he is, because I'd sure like to see him again someday. Invited me to his hotel to meet his sister and to talk about the motion picture industry. And it was amazing. And I left there just really thinking I was going to move to Los Angeles and continue to seek fame and fortune. And I went home, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, something happened to me. The pizza that I'd eaten gave me the worst stomach flu I had ever had in my life. I remember it to this day. I won't go into any details, but I'll just tell you it was horrible. Just horrible. And I can honestly say, as a young man, regardless of whether Takedown was involved, this was truly one of those times I was like the sickest I'd ever been. Oh my gosh, I was so ill. And I had to get up and go to work, and I knew I couldn't, man. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't take 10 steps without having to go back to the bathroom. And I remember at about 4 o'clock in the morning, my mom started trying to call the movie set. She had a call sheet, and she was calling them going, Daryl's not going to make it. He can't even walk. And I remember listening. I was laying on the bathroom floor throwing up. I'd just thrown up, and I remember listening to her, and she said, listen, Daryl is deathly ill, and he's not going to be able to come today. And they said, I remember listening to my mother, and she said, wow, that's pretty strong. And the tone in her voice changed immediately, and she said, well then, okay, I will get him ready and we'll wait for you to come pick him up. And I'm like, Mother, what? And she said, you have to go. They said they don't care if you're not dead, you're going, because if not, they're going to throw every lawyer in Hollywood at you right now, and you're going to lose all the money. And you're going to cost your dad and I tremendous amounts of stress, and they threatened legal action right now. And I said, whoa, then I guess I got to go. And if you watch Takedown, the scene we shot on the last day of filming is the football scene at the beginning of the movie where I'm in the huddle. And if you look at me, I wouldn't even let the makeup artist near me that morning because I was just so ridiculous. I smelled horrible. I felt horrible. Everybody was putting up with me. I was trying to, it was just really the toughest thing I've ever done. But at the end of the day, it taught me this incredible lesson. It taught me this lesson that what I was capable of if I set my mind to it, that no matter how sick I was that day, I still managed to get my butt up and go to that. Yeah, of course they had to threaten, to destroy my family forever, but that's okay. That they had to. I had to go. That's the way it is. It taught me this most valuable lesson, man. That when you tell somebody you're going to do something, you do it. And that includes yourself. And I am really, really struggling right now to get to the next level of where I'm trying to go. I have to tell you something. I have a goal, and I'm going to Rainier, Washington, and I hope you come along. I hope the Hidden, you stay with me the whole way, and you come and find your way with me to Rainier, Washington, because we're going to have some serious fun. We are going to build some crazy stuff. We're going to build this motorhome, and you will never forget what I'm going to do to this motorhome. I'm going to put a picture up on talking about Crooks and what I'm going to do with this thing. It is going to be really, really fun. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to travel all over the United States in this and meet people and show Croach off, and then eventually build all these other great stories that I have to tell. I have another story that involves takedown. I'm going to tell you that one tomorrow. Sorry about the cat videos, but my little kitty, she's an amazing girl, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. I won't do them all the time, but when I have sort of back-to-back real cool things happen with her, I just got to show her off because she's just so amazing. I love you. I love The Hidden. I love everything about you. Come and be a part of this with me. Come and help me move forward and do all these crazy things. I'm not asking for your help because I'm saying poor me. I'm asking for your help because I want to build all this stuff and I want you to see what I'm capable of doing. And if you'll support me and stay with me, we'll do it together, man. And I'll bring it all over the United States so that you can enjoy it too. That's who I am. The Hidden. That's why I'm doing this. So thank you. I love you all. Thanks for joining me on the Pain Lair. Thanks for listening to my nonsense. And until the next time on the Pain Lair, dun dun.